Hello, welcome to SHOWstudio's live panel discussions. It's Haute Couture Week in Paris, and Alessandro Michele just made his couture debut as creative director of Valentino. It's the brand's first couture show following the exit of Pier Paolo Piccoli, who's been at the brand for 25 years. Michele has already made the vision he had in mind for Valentino pretty clear with his debut collection, which was Resort 2025, which received mixed criticisms online. A lot of people said that he's unable to breach that maximalist vision he had while at Gucci, where he was creative director for almost 10 years. Others say that his world building and his references were a lot more in line with Valentino Garavani's original vision for the brand. There's a lot to unpack, and we've invited some excellent industry insiders who I'll let introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Milner. I'm a couturier, and I was head of Alexander McQueen's couture studio for several years.
Hi, it's Kate Ruensumran, a fashion creative consultant and a stylist.
Hello, I'm Nathalie Khan, and I'm course leader for BA Culture Criticism and Curation at Central St. Martin's.
Hi, I'm Emman, a stylist, model, and consultant.
Thank you for joining me today, and thank you at home for tuning in live. If you're following the YouTube chat, please send in your questions for our panelists, and we'll get to them nearing the end of the conversation. Also, if you have questions about this Valentino show, last year's Valentino show, any show that happened during Fashion Week, go to SHOWstudio.com and chat with our very knowledgeable fashion AI, Ivory Grace. Cool. Before we watch the show, I wanted to gauge everyone's, I guess, expectations or thoughts on Alessandro Michele's appointment at Valentino. Was that something we're excited by? He's done 3 collections so far for the brand, so we do have an understanding of the aesthetic and the world that he's going to build. Deborah, do you want to start?
I think when it was announced, I couldn't see how he was going to be a good fit for Valentino. But with the first Resort collection, I think that he did manage to tame the kind of messy, over-eclectic look that he had at Gucci. So I'm quite excited about the debut to see how he works with those Valentino house codes.
It's also his first opportunity really to work within the world of haute couture.
Yeah.
We didn't get to do that at Gucci. Katie?
Yeah, when it was announced, I was just thinking about like the sales. I think Kering want to push the sales through, you know, because Valentino has it back, so it's true since the rock start.
Right.
I think, I mean, and then I probably like he would be the one who pushed the sales. You know, he did it before at Gucci, and then when I see the collection, I think it's a good fit. Yeah.
I think I was surprised at first. I felt that there's a sort of a trend towards turning back, and then obviously what Michele is known for, nostalgia, and this sort of idea of fake vintage, which I found so intriguing as a concept at Gucci. And I said, what does that mean for a couture house like that? And you don't play with these codes and conventions in the same way. But I'm always excited. It's because it sort of brings us in, it draws us, and change is, it sort of plays with our sense of memory, with our sense of time, with our sense of sort of what does fashion mean now. And I think he still has a lot to say, and that's, I think it's what we've seen so far. Definitely exciting. Yeah.
Emman?
I was very excited. I definitely could see him at Valentino. I think every appointment of a creative director is very personal to the creative director. And I totally could see him pulling out the kind of 70s references, those like amazing kind of campaigns with Angelica Houston, where it was just, you know, lots of 70s dresses, lots of bright colors, and you can definitely see that in the first few collections in his work. So yeah, to me it makes sense, and you know, to see him at a couture house is also exciting because previously Gucci didn't have a couture house, but they at least had custom for red carpet events. So
we got a glimpse of what he could do with that kind of freedom, but we didn't get it to see how he would really utilize those resources, the time and the craftsmanship that he could accomplish. Should we press play? What do we want from Haute Couture today?
Gosh, that's a loaded question. I've been thinking about this. We're in such a time of change. I think maybe we have to redefine couture.
Couture, yeah, it's true, yeah. This is
But I'm
different.
not sure exactly what that
What
is.
is that? It's true.
I think there
Different now.
are elements, right, of couture. One is obviously this is impossible glamour that it represents, and I think the House Valentino always interpreted what that means. And then the other, sort of this idea of glamour, and then also sort of, especially sort of looking at the image that we just looked at, Angelica Houston there's an elegance, right? And I think what I'm interested in to see is how are these two ideas reinterpreted? So this notion of what is a contemporary notion of glamour and what does elegance mean today? I mean, that's sort of what I thought I want to look at. Yeah.
I still want to see like the new technique, like craftsmanship, you know, because this is define couture in general,
Especially Valentino.
Like, but the drama is, you know, aside, but
Well,
definitely a new
so
technique.
far it's been very dramatic.
Yeah, dramatic. I love the drama.
Same. I love the drama.
love the
I think
drama.
for me, like in a couture show, I want to dream. I want to see fantasy.
Fantasy,
I'm
yeah.
all about
It's true.
the fantasy, especially because we're living in a very challenging
Times,
always political, and so
Another world.
just take the children, take all of us to another fantasy, like John did with that incredible Margiela show.
Oh my
Like,
God.
Is this beginning? I'm kind of confused.
The show, I think this is the fourth look.
Okay. The first one was incredible.
The first one wasn't. It was
Incredible.
Yeah.
very
is it like a
circus.
knit with like beading?
Behind the models are descriptions that are very poetic of the looks. They were also included, instead of show notes, it's formatted like a script of a detailed description of everything.
So the words are not repeated, but they are particular to the look.
So it's also like a process, like a documentation of process a little bit.
Which means breathtaking.
What's that called, sorry?
The show is titled Vertino, which is breathtaking in English.
Okay,
I mean, Valentino is always known for very wearable couture, like incredibly made, wearable. And I think that Alessandro will bring that to it, because obviously everything was very wearable at Gucci.
I think that was something that I was really interested in when really
Wow, that's incredible.
delving into the research of Valentino, is that timelessness comes up a lot when we talk about his designs and his couture. It's this almost restrained elegance and sophistication that attracted, modern,
Timeless.
legal women.
Yes.
And I've always found it, I guess, a bit interesting that Pier Paolo's take on that was always almost too much.
I was going to say it became too maximalist in the
It
end.
became a bit garish,
Yeah.
if I could say so. But I was really interested to see how Michele would translate that. And obviously he's a maximalist, but would he take it into that realm of fantasy and pushing that boundary of fantasy? And I think he is.
Definitely.
But it still looks like things so far
This is
that
another
people
level.
would wear on the red carpet, that somebody would wear them, or you could imagine those ladies.
I think with Alessandro's pieces at Gucci, sometimes it felt like in the clothes it was like styling, and I think
True.
Gucci and hopefully at Valentino, the time that goes into developing a sleeve or an embroidery,
Brainstorming and
just it was missing a little bit of that, and it just got a little bit repetitive. So I hope we see, a little bit more variety of couture techniques.
Do you think we are so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to tell unless you probably go to the Risi in the showroom. But I mean, it looks, the silhouette, I would love to have a look up close. I love lifting.
I love this look.
That's up.
I was just saying, I love this look, very modern.
This is a really cool look.
Yeah, I can see.
If we consider celebrity dressing in this context, then it also has to acknowledge the changing role of the celebrity, right, within a sort of part of popular culture. And we are witnessing a really interesting shift where celebrities present themselves as artworks in their own right? So that image culture has become much more extreme. And I feel that I think of the celebrities that Michele has dressed famously. I think, for example, who has created his own persona, I think, through the way that he plays celebrity culture. And I think for a celebrity to wear these looks or to adapt this style, be very, very clear of what they represent. I don't think that's something that you can just sort of deliver for one red carpet. You have to be. This is not for beginners.
No.
Interestingly, each look is very different one from the other.
Yeah.
There's not...
Individual.
Yes.
Very individual.
Which plays into what you're saying, I think.
Yeah, but this is very Michele because he doesn't.
He designs
not
for
the-
the individual.
Yeah, not carry, not not continue from the
I mean, there's a
look to the other
beautiful
look.
technique.
My goodness.
This embroidery.
There is technique right
Yeah,
there.
that is.
Nice.
Stunning.
Stunning, yeah.
Is that a bit Squid Game, or is it just me?
They would all die if they wore this on Squid Games.
Yeah.
I think is
I guess
stunning.
this look is. I love the headpiece.
Me too.
I'm a huge fan of headpieces. I think it really completes a look, a hat.
So who do we think that Michele is speaking to with the world that he's built or building at Valentino?
Vampire? No, I can see straight away, very Mary Queen of Scots, Marie Antoinette.
Yeah.
And, very Baroque and meets modern days.
I think like the
This is the great Valentino's.
youth culture. I think his time at Gucci, the image he created was, what I loved was that it was replicated by a lot of St. Martin's art students, but just like a lot of young kids who just wanted to aspire to the Gucci brand. They could go to a vintage store and kind of have a little bit of their own fantasy in playing with clothing and layering. And so for me, I see like youth, but I also see like a lot of like fabulous, eccentric women,
Madame.
like someone, I can imagine like if she were alive, Anna Piaggi would be like probably his best client, So that's, I kind of see those two.
In a way, I'm really enjoying how it's like pulled back from the because there's criticism about Michele's aesthetic and the role that styling plays in it. That it's a full look, that there's a lot going on, and I do appreciate that. Obviously, there's a lot going on here, but it's all focused on the craft element, on the silhouette, on the embroidery, on the embellishment. And it is almost like he doesn't have that same restraint that he does with ready-to-wear.
I guess it's also a very different silhouette to say like Schiaparelli or Margiela or even Alaya. Like everything is very kind of fitted and restricted, corseted at the waist. And there are some looks that are in this collection, but the silhouettes are definitely different in comparison to other couture houses.
It looks very fresh and new, actually. It doesn't. There are some historical references, but generally,
Yeah.
It's not too emphasized, and I like the simpler looks best, like these.
I think you can see Michele's references, but they're done in a way that feels very fresh from
Yeah.
what he's done previously. Because I was coming into this today thinking I was gonna hate it, because I think sometimes his ready-to-wear does come off a bit costumey, and I mean,
Yeah.
who does this really appeal to? I also think that his time at Gucci feels like such a time capsule,
Yes.
because it did so well and was so instantly recognizable the way it was, that if he did repeat it in his way at Valentino, it would
Style.
feel dated. But this feels
Fresh.
gorgeous.
Yeah, gorgeous. I love
Colors
it.
are beautiful.
I think, I mean, he comes from, I mean, he studied costume design, right, in Rome. So that is his training at the School of Costume
Right.
and Fashion. So it's, yeah, I think it's really interesting that how that has sort of carried through, but now I've watched a few interviews with him last few days where he talked about the critique that he's received. And I really like that he said, you know what, I know it's out there, but I don't care. And but now I think those voices would not say what we've read before, because I think he's taking it into a different direction.
I think we also have to talk about that line of cinema that is so apparent in Michele's work, but also in Valentino's work. He collaborated with the Cinecittà Studios, that iconic Roman film production studio, on a number of films, including Fellini's La Dolce Vita. So that must have been something in the back of Michele's mind when dreaming up this world.
And he is inspired by film. I'm just, you know, one of the last collaborations that he did was the Stanley Kubrick series for Gucci, which I think was really interesting. And he brought, I think it was Christopher Simmons was the art director on that. And again, it was sort of deep research. They recreated those film sets for, I think, 4 Kubrick films, but to the minute detail. And I think and what I like about Michele is that he is not just inspired by film, but he's a fan. And I think you just have to respect it. You know, he doesn't just, oh yeah, that's a great vibe, or I love that look or aesthetic. He is a fan of image makers, of filmmakers, of artists, and he will just immerse himself in that completely. And that, I think that comes across. There's also a sort of a Gothic undertone here that I think is an important part of youth culture right now that he taps into. But it also goes beyond that. It's not just one thing, which I think is, it's actually a little bit breathtaking.
It is, isn't it? Aptly named.
Yeah.
And I don't say that often.
I remember when he did this incredible campaign, I think it was spring 2019, and he referenced kind of like 1930s and 40s musicals. And I'd never seen anyone reinterpret the kind of like sets and imagery from that time in a very modern way. And, you know, when seeing the kind of like the parallels between Valentino's world and dressing silver screen actresses and being inspired by cinema, I can also see film and cinema really hopefully coming into the new Valentino. But yeah, he dressed everyone from, I mean, Valentino dressed everyone from like Audrey,
Sophia Loren.
Yeah.
I think he even had Sharon Stone like walk the runway and like, I think it was 1992 or something.
Julia Roberts.
Famously,
Famous.
I'm not mad at the maximalist direction he's taking Valentino.
No, I
because
love
for
it.
me, I want couture to
Be more fun.
be more fun, to
Yeah.
elicit emotion, to elicit dreams.
Not like just, you know, like a beautiful dress. And,
A wardrobe. I want it to push silhouette and craftsmanship and what fashion can be.
Because the client change, consumer change.
Yes.
Not like the old people anymore, you know, like the people who buy couture is younger nowadays. So I think they need to see some change in terms of even like design or in terms of like craftsmanship and technique or something. Yeah. So I think this is. Yeah, you should get more clients. Yeah.
That is camp. That's hilarious.
Love a bit of campy fashion.
Beautiful.
There is a picture that Women's Wear Daily posted, this archival picture of Valentino celebrating his 47th birthday at Studio 54, and it's him and all his friends wearing costumes from Fellini's The Clowns.
Oh.
And looking through this, that springs to mind, the ruffles, those hats.
And even the opening look, the Piero kind of like color.
Like Harlequin,
yeah, the whole
diamond.
I love that. That's fabulous, isn't it?
So good.
I think also like we're living in a time and a bit of a trend of quiet luxury. So when you're a maximalist like Alessandro Michele and you do a show like this, it really stands out.
True, yeah. I
Because
mean,
everyone else is kind of doing the same thing. So, you know, it's kind of like a flamingo in a flock of pigeons, you know.
I think nowadays trend is very, like, varies. You know, quite luxe still there anyway. Still, you know, it does exist anyway, but this is, you know, something that people craving.
Yeah, I think it's that fantasy element because if you go online right now and everyone's talking about recession core and nobody has money for anything, and that is a thin line, I think, when you watch an haute couture show because it can go very eat the rich real quick.
Yeah,
but when you're presenting a fantasy like this, it does elicit dreams.
Yes, if it captures the imagination.
Yeah, at least I can
takes it
see
beyond.
the inspiration. I can go to vintage store and then buy something and mix it up, like, you know.
Yeah. But does Deborah take it beyond that? Like these are just clothes for the 1% of the world. Because I think a lot of young people will be inspired by this.
How many couture clients are in the world now? Do we know?
I don't know, actually. But there's a lot of things that you can still see
Not many.
people going and recreating it in their own way because there's a real, what do I want to say, style there, but a different style. It looks quite new. It's not like, I mean, I'm kind of a bit fed up of seeing the corsets everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because it's been done so much. I mean, there are corsets in couture, obviously, in an evening dress, but it's just that kind of the flesh boning and
Can't breathe.
There's so many other things beyond corsetry.
Which I think he's showing with this collection.
Yeah.
I want to ask about the codes or the motifs of Valentino Garavani, and if we think that Michele is paying tribute to that appropriately. I think we started with talking about this idea of timelessness and this regal wardrobe.
well, I think some of the pieces do look quite timeless, but it does look quite new as well. But also, you can't just do the same thing. You've got to move forward and move forward for a new audience. So I think it does it within the framework of the house, particularly in the colour sense and the fact that there are quite a lot of pieces that are, for want of a better word, wearable. You can see people wearing them. You could see that clients would buy them, as well as the fantasy pieces, you know. And you wouldn't have to have the perfect figure, for example.
Even like the new clients, I mean, the young generation, maybe they don't even know like what the motif of Mr. Valentino. You know what I mean? Like, so they just
know.
Yeah, just know like from this time.
Generation.
Yeah, but I can see that, you know, like the pops of braid, you know, in many looks, and
Like this peasant style look is very reminiscent of like late 70s Valentino.
florals
Like the
and
print, the sleeves, the way like the skirt.
That airiness.
folk dress.
The sleeve seems, that has a slight sort of 70s touch, but then he mixes it up with
And then it's got like trims and like a lot.
Panier.
Yeah, panier, I think, is the thing that really...
And the accessories, it makes it a bit gothic with the kind of like the sunglasses that drip down.
Sci-fi and gothic.
Oh, this is fab. This is like an embroidery.
Beaded.
I love beading and embroidery.
This is
Looks beautiful.
tight and matching with everything.
I'm excited for how he's going to build out this world after the show. I think at Gucci, he was so incredible with working with the right photographers and filmmakers to create these incredible campaigns that really spotlighted things like youth culture, challenging gender and sexuality. And I'm really curious to see how that's going to evolve. Because those first collections for Valentino, I was in the boat of, I think that's just Michele.
Okay, yeah. You mean the
Michele.
resort one?
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. But I think it was about the styling as well. Because when you're breaking the pieces, you can see, I mean, of course, it's very Michele, but you can see something that, references by Valentino, like the
It's
first
much
look.
cleaner.
Yeah, much,
think.
yeah.
It wasn't so messy. There was a clearer message. Almost like he was just kind of finding his way.
The pannier dresses, well, with the crinolines remind me a little bit of the Balenciaga show.
Yeah, me too, yeah, I was going to say.
It was blue, I can't remember what it was.
A few looks, yeah.
Kind of like the European.
That embassy room that was all blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
like
were like bell dresses.
the bell dress.
And they just.
Even the models.
But they weren't crocheted like this one.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
no,
cool.
exactly.
It's more the silhouette with the kind of like peaked shoulder.
Do you like that crochet one?
It's a bit doily.
I think
but
it's
yeah.
hideous.
It's like the toilet roll
I
dolly.
know.
Like your nana that you have. The toilet
This is the
roll.
finale.
But that piece, that Harlequin,
I love the Harlequin. Incredible.
I think that really set the stage.
Harlequin is
Are they run? No.
They're running.
They're running now.
Are they running?
Yeah.
that's a bit Pierre
just,
I do love that he's kind of also, with the show, has given us a very modern kind of spectacle and
Yes.
mixed it up with like a lot of the kind of archival references.
Yes.
It's kind of like showing a nuanced Valentino with like new and old.
Because he easily could have just done a
Yeah.
really humble salon show as his first. I appreciate the showing.
I think people might have been a bit disappointed if he did that, though, wouldn't they? It's like all of this.
Yeah, I don't love that crochet dress, but I don't like crocheting in general.
Although I do have a crochet dress that I've been wearing for 30 years, so
Do we have a standout look from this collection that we think really ignites the imagination?
two, really.
There was so much there.
The Harlequin one.
the Harlequin is the
I mean,
best.
that's just
I think if this is the best,
Just
this
the
is
colours
so,
together.
so good.
It's so striking and
The way the
bold.
bodice like weaves
And the
together.
colors.
Yeah, the
The
way
colours,
it's made.
The colors, yeah. I mean, it does match, but it's not match in a way, you know.
It's like a ruffle chill.
Yeah, like very ruffled.
Yeah, also like when you see that managing to kind of replicate the lines of a Harlequin pattern, but in chill on this really big silhouette. It's like really impressive.
And then the other pieces are the incredible embroidery, the flat embroideries. I mean, that looks really amazing on several pieces.
Oh, this is amazing.
How do we think this show in particular is going to reposition Valentino within fashion today? I know there were many fans of what Pier Paolo was doing at the brand,
Yeah.
to the point that the exit for some might have been a little surprising.
It's younger. I think it's going to appeal to a younger crowd.
To a younger crowd,
which is
yeah.
obviously a good thing, because you need to kind of bring along the youth interest as well.
We don't want couture to be disappear.
And thinking about
We need more,
yes.
yeah, new clients,
want
yeah.
to
We need
engage.
new clients, yeah.
More conversation and
yeah.
Like,
Thinking about
Well, Apple Martin at the Debutante Ball in Paris recently was dressed in Michele's couture, sort of a ball gown, which could have been, you know, that silhouette. He could have been Gucci. He's played with this shape before, and that's a young client, right there.
yes, a young, very wealthy client.
And the Debutante Ball is a space in which that sort of lifestyle is celebrated, you know, completely outmoded sort of, I don't know, context. But obviously also it's about celebrity culture and what that means and how she performs that dress, I think was really interesting. It gets a lot of commentary online. It puts him into the spotlight and her. But yeah, I found that, yeah, it was a bit tone deaf, I think.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
What way?
This is the daughter of Chris Martin.
In what way do you find it tone deaf?
Well, that it celebrates wealth in this way.
Oh, but then you're talking about the whole ball. I guess.
Yeah. Not the design. I think
okay.
it's a beautiful dress for sure.
We have some questions from YouTube that I'll pull up. Well, this is more of a comment. The age diversity in the models was interesting.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah. But I don't see, I don't see the plus size. Only, you know,
The only
I
thing
want to
I'd
see
say
more.
about that is, or maybe you could do one or two, but it's really difficult to do a collection and cater for lots of different sizes because you've got so much to do already that then if you introduce sizing, and I do understand what you're saying,
Like you can put like,
but
you know,
there might
bigger woman in this, you know, like shape. I mean,
I think that would cause more controversy than if she was wearing something.
Yeah, because she's covering
Which is covered up.
Yeah, the silhouette and just
Yeah.
throwing something on her that would, rather than doing a custom look. But I think there are some designers that do have the time and that do spend time on doing custom sizing.
because all the client is not
well, when you
same.
do the clients, of course you would do. But then also the other thing is, for example, if you're doing drawings for clients, they want to see it on a tall, slim model, even if they're not.
Like for the
So you have to
imagination.
look at them and think what would work for their figure and then draw it on a tall, slim model, because if you don't, they'll be offended. So
Clients can also purchase the runway look, right?
Yes.
That walk that was
Well, I
in the show,
think
which
you
is
can't
less
buy the same dress, right, for the couture. I mean, if you are in Asia, you
can or you can't?
You can't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can't buy the same dress because this is very exclusive now.
oh, sorry, what do you mean? Only one person can buy it?
Only one person
Yeah.
can buy.
Isn't it
this look.
usually two or three, but different continents?
Different region, yeah. So
I mean, so it's that really interesting thing about couture in a show like this is that you can really feel Michele's yearning for showcasing his world and being truthful to that world. And it's those instances where we do have to remind ourselves that actually how we're fantasizing about couture is completely different to the realities of couture as a very exclusive arena. I think the conversation on youth culture is really interesting with the model choice and age.
yeah.
Also, the hair and makeup's not too busy or fussy.
I love
it's,
it.
Which is
I
a good thing,
love.
actually.
Focus on the clothes.
which looks, you know, like very relatable. It doesn't look too like high glam
Heavy.
or heavy. I
But
think
he's really emphasizing the craft, right?
Yes.
you look
The
at the
atelier that he's
clothes.
working with.
Yeah, for sure. That's like where your eye directly just goes on the clothes.
On the clothes
And there's
and
no, I mean, I haven't noticed any like supers that have been brought back. Like the casting is diverse, but it's also, it doesn't take away from the
Yes.
clothes.
What do we want to see next? Now that this is kind of whet our appetite. I would like more of these ideas to trickle down into his ready to wear for sure.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure,
sure they
yeah.
will, because that's half the point of couture, isn't
this
it?
is
As a
the-
kind of think tank for the industry.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it's kind of crazy because you waste all that R&D
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
not developing it.
I think I'm also curious about this aesthetic and this world that Michele has been building for the last decade, and whether or not that is going to stick to the zeitgeist the way that his Gucci did. I think his Gucci was incredibly successful. It turned around the company
Very.
like something like whatever percentage and made them billions. But that also meant that everyone was kind of hyper aware of the Gucci aesthetic and what this looked. And unfortunately, with the way trends work, I think that is so easily encapsulated in a moment where is it is it relevant now? Or will people find that way of dressing or that approach to dressing relevant?
You mean the
Then-
trend, right?
Then are you asking if couture is relevant? Because, which I think it is, because if you didn't have room for that artistry, it would be a much poorer world.
Yeah. I think couture is very relevant.
And
I
the
think.
trickle-down effect
And the
still
trickle-down
exists, you know, we're
effect, yeah.
talking about it, and I think we can imagine it trickling down. So that kind of structure and how the industry works, I think he has brought back, I think, in a big and a very confident way. But also, I think what defined him, apart from that very recognizable style that he sort of developed and that connection with youth culture and the filmic references, I think also for me is how he interprets this idea of nostalgia, as we said earlier, and the sort of there are lots of ways of connecting with the past or interpreting the past, if it's history, if it's costume, and he always does it without irony, and that's what I like about it. It's serious. There's no critical edge. There's just a simple indulgence, and I think that continues to be of our time.
It's also a lifestyle for him because he's also a collector.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, like Saint Laurent and like Valentino, like their collecting practices inform their inspiration for the collection. So, you know, we could see that at Gucci, but it's also nice to see that here.
I was listening to his interview with Vogue's Nicole Phelps this morning, and he was talking about, he said he's not a couturier. He's a creative director. He pulls all of these references and works with all of these people to bring his world to life, and fashion is that medium.
The ideas and everything.
Here's another question from the YouTube. How do you think the return of romanticism and the Gilded Age will affect the range of brands who became known for streetwear over the past few years?
Great question.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah, well done, you.
Yeah.
Well done, YouTube. Thank you for that. Thoughts?
Well, I think in the age of technology and the way technology is being controlled at the moment, we've all developed a very low attention span. So having shows like this, having the fantasy and dreams within a couture show and within a brand image, is something that I think everyone is hungry for, because we're so overstimulated and understimulated that seeing something like this is exciting, it's fresh, it's, it just goes beyond quiet luxury and all of those kind of
I guess
safe options.
Is the question about sportswear brands who are doing more streetwear stuff or couture brands that are doing more streetwear stuff?
I think it's luxury. Seeing that shift, right? I think for the longest time, luxury looked to streetwear and really pushed the idea that luxury can be streetwear, luxury can be this, to the point where it was almost unrecognizable. Like, how many trainers have Valentino really pushed in the last 5 years? Countless ugly trainers.
It was the Valentino plimsoll, right? That came out last season.
I love that.
I love the hip.
Which is also a really clever entry-level shoe, I guess. I don't know what it retails at. But that was a very classic, simple one. I don't know if we can find it.
Well, I don't think trainers are going to die out. Maybe the style of the trainers will just evolve.
Streetwear, I think the streetwear are great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I think nowadays people, they really want something that, you know, like you can use as the, you know, imagination, you know, like an idea and everything. So
quality products. I think also like a lot of luxury brands like Chanel and Bottega have increased their prices. So to kind of have something affordable for kind of like someone who just wants like a basic trainer is the kind of the lines are kind of getting shifted where, you know, just only the really wealthy can afford some of these products, whereas before, when Alessandro was at Gucci, for example, the pricing of streetwear was still kind of quite affordable at the time.
Not nowadays.
But now, yeah, we're living in a very challenging time. So like,
If I have money, I don't want to buy, a pair of jeans that, with lots of embroideries, like to make it like a couture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to, if I have money, I want to buy something that I can keep it forever, and I can see that, okay, this is from the couture collection, and I can see it inspired, So
Do you think the shows might mark a shift for how couture is going to go moving forward? I think a lot about Daniel Roseberry's Schiaparelli and how that is very, it almost exists just so Daniel can go wild with the atelier and make these amazing garments, and that's really popularized in the last few years that he's been doing it, like from the average fashion consumer to everyone in the industry is like every season is really fascinated by couture that does that rather than the Chanel and the Dior's of the world that are creating wardrobes for women.
Although, the Chanel hasn't been very inspiring recently. So hopefully, come
October,
we have
waiting
a
with
it
her.
feels like it's treading water at the moment.
Testing water, it's true, yeah.
I think that could also be said for Christian Dior, with the rumors flying about that Jonathan Anderson will take over, and I think both him and Matthew Glazy would steer couture for those brands in a direction that's almost, I want to think, unrecognizable to what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Chanel.
Chanel, but Chanel has, existing customer anyway,
They just sell.
I think it's again that difference of there is a couture customer for Chanel that
doesn't
readily
matter the
exists.
price increase.
Proportion is all wrong on all of this. Sorry to
they
say.
could probably make a paper bag collection and it would
Terrible.
sell because it's
Yeah,
Chanel.
exactly.
Their customer is, everyone always wants to buy something
the
Chanel.
CC.
Their clients,
Yeah.
are it's.
I think some client doesn't know who is the new designer or something. They just want a CC.
Because it's Chanel.
Well, the
yeah.
color
Chanel,
palette I
yeah.
think is always funny because they're always the colors that are going to make up every month's bag of the month. Like pink for June, light blue for May, and so on and so on.
And I think for Dior as well, it's all of those, the couture might not be as fantasy or exciting, but all the ready-to-wear sells, and she sells all of those couture looks. So I think, there's...
this all
funny.
black collection, it's just, they all look the same. Look at these. I don't see the difference.
Oh yeah, that I didn't really like.
I don't see the difference.
What do we think, or how do we think this Valentino Couture collection is going to inspire or ignite something like sales?
It's already
or
inspired
interest
me.
in-
Yeah, I thought it was inspiring.
in Valentino, the brand?
I think the last two collection, not this one, I think he's testing the water. Everyone say it's very Michele, but of course it's very him because if you want Michele, so it's his style, you know what I mean? So, but this one, this couture, I think he's waiting for the couture to show more his craftsmanship and more idea about what he gonna do with Valentino.
Yes.
So I think this is very inspiring, very
Sets the stage, doesn't it?
yeah. So this is very what he want to serve.
So for
new
it to work, it
customer,
needs that trickle down, right?
Yeah.
It needs, so we had to catch up to get to the
High point,
to the high point to then trickle down. I also like how he plays with femininity, and there are these different kinds of women. I know we had the question from YouTube about age and casting, which I think is interesting. But I like that these women are eerie, that they're scary, they don't care to be looked at.
Yeah, fearless.
I think that is a confident interpretation of what sort of femininity means, and that's very different from what we looked at with Chanel and Dior.
Dior,
They can literally,
ideal,
these are sort of,
beautiful,
it's hyper individual. every look and every woman is completely different.
Different.
And they are sort of characters in a play,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Well, the character.
to this idea of fantasy. And I'm interested in how he develops that further. And I'm interested. I like the Valentino woman. I think she's otherworldly.
The new Valentino woman. Yeah.
She's otherworldly, and there's a dark side to her, but there's also something.
It's that power without sacrificing femininity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
still the
Dressing up.
romanticism is still there.
You can see the storytelling element that I think is way more exciting than the last Valentino woman we had probably before.
Yeah.
It's more interesting.
Yeah, she's mysterious. She's deep. Like, it's at a bit more of a deeper level. Like, you want to
Yes.
know who she
Yeah.
is. You know,
I
it's
think
this
Pier
character
Paolo's
building.
take on that romance and
Romance
femininity.
and
Very fairy tale.
and this is
Yeah.
more
Very
this is
Disney.
darker.
But also you can see how it could be translated into ready to wear. There's so many ideas
So many ideas,
there
yeah.
Really.
that would actually be fun as well, not too serious.
With like bags.
It is
and
dark,
trims
but
and-
I think there's an awful lot.
We have one more question from the YouTube.
Okay.
Will this new age, I guess they're talking about this aesthetic that Michele is proposing, trickle down to designers who are less known for this aesthetic? So newer brands that are more streetwear oriented, will it mark that shift? I guess what they're asking is, will we see this inspire other brands
so,
to
yeah.
look and create things that...
Yeah.
I think it will, yes.
Sure.
I hope so, if they've got the budget to do it. You know, especially younger brands. I mean, I don't know.
But it could even be interpreted in, the colours or the ruffles, or it
Or
doesn't
even
have
something
to
as
be something
abstract
expensive.
as the idea of individuality,
Yes,
which
exactly.
we, I think, need now more than ever, unfortunately, with the socio-political
Yeah.
climate, quiet luxury doing my head in, everyone finding or like dimming their light.
Yeah.
And I think Michele is once again proving that
Brighten up
fashion
the day.
is the...
I think going back to your comment earlier, I think that there's a lot in there to inspire younger people to go and find their own looks, put it together and approximate.
And express yourself in that
Yeah,
way.
exactly.
Definitely, there's more self-expression.
Yeah.
I want to dress up tomorrow, It's already inspired me.
It's getting really boring now.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know, I don't want to dress up nowadays. I think it feel a bit boring, but this is like, oh my God, this is good.
There's a really amazing quote in Elsa Schiaparelli's biography called In Shocking Pink. And when she was designing collections at the time in the 30s and 40s during the World War, she said, in tough times, fashion must be fabulous. And we're living through a tough time, so we might as well,
Collapsing.
collapse in a treasure chest or, adorn ourselves with more
Escape.
beauty and escape.
Yeah, at least something we can look forward to, like colors, ruffle, bows, and I don't know, this is the new idea that we can just use.
Hopefully it does trickle down. Do we have any closing thoughts on Valentino Spring Summer 25 Haute Couture? Gorgeous.
Fabulous.
Stunning.
Stunning.
Don't listen to the critics.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't listen to the critic. It's true. This is the word. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you at home for tuning in to our live panel discussion on Valentino Spring Summer 25 Haute Couture by Alessandro Michele. Stay tuned to SHOWstudio.com for more Fashion Week coverage, and make sure you check out Ebury Grace, our very knowledgeable AI fashion critic, for any questions you have about the collections this season, last season, of all time. Thank you.